Welcome to Biz Filing's Expert Insights.
Hi, I'm Greg Corombos. Our guest this week on Expert Insights is Joel Patterson. Joel is founder of the Vested Group, author of the Forbes book, The Big Commitment, Solving the Mysteries of Your ERP Implementation, and he's a workplace culture expert. 2020, of course, will be remembered for many things, and one of them certainly is the sudden, unexpected changes we faced in many parts of our lives. So, how did businesses do in implementing change in short order, and what are the lessons from making changes going forward? That's what we'll discuss for the next few minutes. And Joel, it's great to have you with us. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Greg. Happy to be here.
Well, for many businesses, the adaptation was to partial or total shutdown of the businesses themselves, restaurants in particular, due to the pandemic. Other businesses had to adapt to personnel working from home, in many cases on the fly, and finding new ways to accomplish the same task that they did when everyone was gathering in the same place in person. So I'm sure the results varied, but overall, how did businesses do in adapting in those conditions?
Well, as you might expect, it varies greatly depending on the focus of the business, the industry that it's in, the type of people that it has. There's really no one size fits all solution to what's happened in 2020. So you really step back, take a look at what your people, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and how you might be able to help them handle the work from home environment as an example. Everybody handles that differently, introverts, extroverts, and really opening up options for people to show that you care about them during this time has been really important. And I'd say most organizations that I talk to absolutely are interested in doing the right thing. I'd say of that, probably 3/4 of those are successful in implementing a few new programs, really showing that they are digging in and taking care of their employees. So always room for improvement, but I'm encouraged to say that people understand that a lot of change and a lot of supporting through that change comes from business.
Well, you've given us an excellent roadmap for where we're going in the rest of the conversation, but let's stay on the work from home aspects, and so many businesses dealt with that this year. What were the biggest challenges in working from home, and which solutions to those challenges generally seem to work best?
Clearly the technology held up, and I think everybody can say that was a big unknown going into 2020. We had some hiccups here and there, but for the most part, wow, I'm shocked at how well it's held up. So that's one for the home team, I guess. The people side, I think, is yet to be determined. There's still no one that I've seen has really come up with a solution in how we take culture and instill that in new hires and even people that are already part of the organization and help them feel connected. We have not solved that one yet. So there's a lot of learning to be done when it comes to how we manage people, how we interact with them, how we deal with this Zoom fatigue thing. Lots of things we got to figure out. But overall, I'd say that we've done really well on the technology side. I give us a B for the people side. And but going into 2021, I feel very optimistic that things are about to turn, and we're gonna be in really good shape a year from now.
What is your view on the long-term likelihood of work from home options here, Joel? Is it mainly here to stay, do you think? Is it going to be back to the office for most people fairly soon, or is it going to end up as some kind of hybrid?
It'll be some sort of hybrid depending on the industry that you're in. So we're in a professional services firm. We already worked remotely a lot. This clearly has changed how we work, just like anyone, but we already understood the technology and used it pretty consistently. So, but even for us, we're probably going to go on a 2 to 3 day a week work from home, or it's up to you where you go. Just recognizing that people like the flexibility. It helps them bring more value to what they do in a day. It gives them the ability to be involved with their family. All those things everyone knows. It's definitely worth the investment. As long as we are finding ways to keep people connected, then it's here to stay. I do think there was a little bit of a knee jerk maybe at the beginning of this whole cycle about, we're working from home forever. Twitter was big on that. A couple other big companies did that, and I don't think you can make that call yet. Maybe for some, but I think we'll probably step back a little bit from that and find a new center of what makes sense. But the change is here to stay.
Is there change fatigue right now, Joel? And I ask that because heading into 2021, a lot of businesses might have plans to implement changes they perhaps would have done in 2020, or it's been part of their long-range planning, and now's the time that they had planned to do it. Do you need to take anything into consideration, since a lot of your staff may have obviously gone through a lot of change this year, or since many of them may have handled it well, just press on with the plan.
I think change fatigue is a great way to put it. I don't think there's any doubt. These things usually come in threes. Big changes like this, and we had the pandemic, and we had social justice, and we had the election. But each one of those had so many different angles that made it so disruptive to everyone. It's really hard to categorize them that loosely. So yeah, change fatigue is a real thing. There's this thing called survivor's guilt that people don't think about, and it's really around those people that didn't get furloughed or laid off, or that maybe are getting through the pandemic pretty well. Why them? They ask that question, and those are just unique situations that have to be addressed. But change is never easy for anyone, and it's something that really the first step, and from my perspective at least, is just talking about that you're going through it. This is what to expect, and a lot of times just a little bit of knowledge really makes that process of change go much smoother. But it's a little different for everyone, so you've got to make sure that you've got options for people. But yeah, change is real in 2020, and I think we're going to expect just as much in 2021, even if it's just getting back to the new normal.
Joel, you also believe that empathy, you mentioned this before, is a big factor in leading changes, whether sudden or planned. So explain what you mean by that and what it looks like.
Yeah, empathy is key to really any kind of leadership. If you do not have the ability to understand how the people that look to you for guidance or support, you're missing a whole element that's not going to allow you to be effective. So always keep in mind what other people are going through, recognize that their situations are not the same as yours, and have some empathy for how they might feel, and recognize that you may not completely relate to it, but that doesn't make it any less real for them. And we've had a million different opportunities as business leaders this year to show empathy, to treat people with respect, and hopefully people have been doing that, because if they haven't, I think as these things, as we continue to come out of this dip, people are going to ask those questions. When you recruit and interview new people, they're going to ask you how you treated people during COVID. There's always ways to leave reviews online. So hopefully you have invested in your people and really rewarded them for their commitment and hard work and everything else we've gone through, because now is the time to really bond together as a team and make sure that investment pays off.
You said earlier, Joel, that you kind of give business as a whole a B in that area, not as good as the technology performance this year. B is good, but it's not great. So what's the best way to improve that for folks who might need some improvement in that area?
Yeah, the beauty of it is it's not that difficult. The number one thing is just be intentional about it. You can make a goal that you are going to invest in your people by sending them a video every day. A 90-second video that is tailored to them, that just tells them that you're thinking about them, and you will change that person's day. And no matter who you are, you can do that, even if it's a peer or anything. And those kind of simple efforts, and even if you just, it's consistency behind those efforts. It's not the actual effort. It's showing that you actually care and that you are interested in it. So people thinking that they can't do anything about it, or thinking that they don't have the budget for it, or any of that kind of stuff. It is an investment, but it's an investment of effort most of the time. It's an investment in making sure that you take the time and you give that an extra 30 seconds to think about what makes that person unique, and just reach out and say hi. And those little things will add up over time and would demonstrate that culture is the number one priority for you.
How do you deal with those who are particularly reluctant to change, and not just in the face of a pandemic, but they do really good work. They have their way of doing it, and then you want to implement something that makes them not feel as comfortable that they can perform their best. But you believe that in the long run, it's the best thing for the business. So, what's the best way to specifically deal with that?
Well, every company has those. What we do for our day jobs here is we implement new, what are called ERP systems for companies, which really effectively replaces their entire system and puts it on a consolidated database for all their financials and accounting and inventory and all that stuff. And so when we come in and we do what we do, it is huge. It blows everything up almost, and managing that change is really difficult for people, and that's what makes our projects challenging. It's not the technology nearly as much as the people. And unfortunately, most clients that I've done projects for, one of those brilliant jerks is usually what I hear people, and that when they're saying it nicely, they kind of rear up because they can make these things very challenging, and it's exactly the same as to what they can do to your culture. When they, tend to need to be the smartest guy in the room and really are just never going to get on board with what you're trying to preach as a culture. You have to address it, and it's not fun, but you have to be willing to defend your culture, recognize that this person needs to make a change. Do it fairly and openly, give them that feedback, and give them an opportunity to change. But you're going to have to deal with it, whether you do it now or a year from now. I promise you, when you do it, you'll look back and say, man, why didn't I do that 6 months ago?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, how big of a difference can it make? And obviously it depends on the reluctant employee to say, okay, 3 months from now, we're going to be doing this. 2 months from now, we're going to be doing this, and have those conversations rather than saying, hey, tomorrow the guys from the vested group are coming in and they're going to revamp the whole system.
Yeah, you need to be having those conversations all along the way. I think at every step that you can, without, you don't want to overwhelm things either, but every opportunity that you have to communicate, that is how you get through change. The more communication, not just you communicating outwardly, but receiving it as well. If you really wanted to invest in change, you got to spend some time thinking and communicating and listening to what's going on. But it can't just be something that all of a sudden you start one day and, oh, here it is, ta-da. That won't work with the brilliant jerks or your best employees either. You've got to be able to have some balance there and some commitment and consistency. I see a lot of people get really excited about, it's like a New Year's Eve resolution, get really excited about doing certain investments in culture at the beginning of the year. And then by Q2, it's all gone. And people see that.
Well, whether it's in process or how you relate to your team, lots of changes, like you said, in 2020, more to come in 2021. It always does. Joel, thanks very much for being with us, and happy holidays to you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Greg. Same to you. Take care.
Joel Patterson, founder of the Vested Group, author of the Forbes book, The Big Commitment, Solving the Mysteries of Your ERP Implementation. He's also a workplace culture expert. I'm Greg Corombos, and for more information on this topic, please visit bizfilings.com.
BizFilings, a Wolters Kluwer company, has been incorporating businesses since 1996.